Well, it looks like you folks just couldn't get enough of these scary exorcisms and creepy clips of Ed and Lorraine dealing with demons. Well, get ready to strap in once again because we have a few more scary ones from the epic ghost-busting duo. Number 5 on this list is the Triangle Field Ghost. The triangular field is a section of the battlefield that was fought upon during the Battle of Gettysburg, a brutal fight that took place during the American Civil War that is said to have claimed the lives of over 40,000 men. To give you an indicator of how bad this battle was, a surviving soldier from the battle is famously reported saying, "Some with faces bloated and blackened beyond recognition lay with glassy eyes staring up at the blazing summer sun. Others with faces downward and clenched fists full of grass and earth, which told of the agony of their final moments. There lay a headless trunk, a severed limb or two, and they lay in grotesque, abnormal positions that contorted their human form." All of that sounds absolutely horrifying, and it's no wonder that the triangular field has been a spot associated with a plethora of paranormal sightings. Ed and Lorraine have a clip from several decades ago when they visited the triangular field and saw what they believed to be the ghosts of some Confederate soldiers. Let's run that now.
Right there. See?
Uh-huh.
Look.
There's nobody there.
So as you can see, there's definitely some movement going on in the trees, and it seems to be in the form of some white figures. This is similar to some of the other reports this place has received over the years, with others saying that they've seen Confederate soldiers dressed in white wandering the grounds. Now, I do want to point out that this definitely could be staged, but with the amount of lore surrounding this location and the way that that one soldier described the battlefield, I personally wouldn't be surprised if this spot is haunted and Ed and Lorraine stumbled upon some of the ghosts haunting it. Number 4 on this list is a recording about the Annabelle Doll. The Annabelle Doll is one of the most famous cases that Ed and Lorraine Warren participated in. This doll was said to have become demonically possessed and wanted to harm the owners of it. The clip that I'm about to show you is actually from Ed and Lorraine's YouTube page, posted by Tony Spera, the son-in-law of Ed and Lorraine.
Donna, the nurse that received the doll, received it from her mom on her 28th birthday. Donna was a nurse in Hartford, at Hartford Hospital, and she had a roommate that was also a nurse.
So that's the actual doll right there in the Ed and Lorraine Museum, and as Tony says, it was given as a gift. Obviously, this was a pretty horrible gift based on what it proceeds to do. In the next clip, Tony's going to detail just one of the sick and sadistic acts that this demonically possessed doll did.
He picks up the doll, he throws it across the room, and he says, "That's just a Raggedy Ann doll, can't hurt anybody." With that, 7 psychic wounds appeared on his body.
All of the stuff he details in the clip happened directly after this doll tried to strangle that same man while he was in his sleep. This doll went on to do so many other things as well, and Ed and Lorraine had to get involved to stop it. Just seeing this doll in these recordings is pretty creepy if all of the stuff that it's reportedly done is true. If I was Ed and Lorraine, rather than put that thing in my museum, it's going straight into my fireplace. Number 3 on this list is a recording from an interview. Ed and Lorraine Warren were conducting an interview on 2 young girls who were apparently possessed by a demonic presence. Now, I'm not sure how long this had been going on for, but based on the way that they are speaking in the clip and the mannerisms that they're having, I would imagine that the demonic possession had been happening for quite some time. I'm gonna roll the clip now and just pay attention to how the girl on the left is acting and the sounds that she's making.
How many voices are there?
600.
600 the voices.
I know the joke.
So as we can see here in that clip, there is very clearly a demonic sounding voice that is coming from the girl on the left. It claims that there's 600 different voices that come out of her, but then chalks that up to being a joke. When the girl on the right is asked about it, she says that she believes that there's been 10. Now, we can only assume that this means that the girl on the left is currently being possessed by 10 different demons, or at least 10 different personalities and voices that have come out of her at one point. I also want to point out that the girl on the right looks almost pleased when she talks to Ed. Like there's some deep, dark secret that she's holding on to right now, or she herself is possessed by a demon as well, that is enjoying this chaotic situation that they found themselves in. I have no idea how a young girl would make sounds like that. I mean, it barely sounds human to begin with. Certainly some really creepy stuff there from Ed and Lorraine. Number 2 on this list are some cursed dolls. The recording that we're going to look at is of several dolls that were actually made by a witch doctor in Africa. Tony, the son-in-law, is once again in Ed and Lorraine's museum and showing us these dolls that have a deep curse on them. Let's roll a clip so you guys can see what I'm talking about.
And these other artifacts here. These These are all artifacts taken from that witch doctor.
So right there are all of the dolls that were made, and in my opinion, they're all super creepy. We have shrunken heads, scary clay figurines, and Tony even says that he doesn't want to touch them because he's afraid of the potential implications that could come of that. The reason that he believes these are deeply cursed is all due to an incident that happened with a young police officer many decades ago. The officer actually had somebody go to Africa and steal these artifacts away from the witch doctor, then bring them back to America, and was intending on selling them for money. I'll let Tony tell you how that turned out for him though.
Within 2 weeks of this young police officer receiving these dolls, he became very, very ill. In fact, he was paralyzed from the neck down.
He goes on to later say that that man was paralyzed for 2 years straight until he finally died. I can't imagine being paralyzed for that long and then dying after all of that. And all because the witch doctor put a curse on these objects. After hearing that, I completely agree with Tony. I wouldn't want to be touching those things either. Number 1 on this list is a clip from the Exorcism of Anneliese Michel. We've talked a little bit about Anneliese Michel before in some other videos on this channel, and her story is very tragic. She was a German woman who underwent 67 exorcisms in the span of several months. She was believed to be so heavily possessed by a demon because she got regular seizures, psychosis, and would react strangely to religious objects. She would hear voices and often make strange voices herself. Her mental health truly wasn't where it needed to be, and she was reported having extreme thoughts of taking her own life. This sad story gets even sadder though, because after 67 exorcisms had been performed on her, her body couldn't hold up anymore, and she died. This was due to serious malnutrition and dehydration. The priests that were conducting all of these exorcisms had been putting her body through the ringer, and it was just too much. Ed and Lorraine have a recording from one of the exorcisms that was performed on Anneliese at one point, and although it's hard to make out exactly what she's saying, you can hear the presence of a demon in her voice. As you can hear in the recording, the voice is yelling what sounds to be something in a demon language. I also think that the entire recording here is just incredibly unsettling, and even though I had a hard time making out exactly what she said, or was saying, it still sent shivers down my spine. Well, there you have it, my friends. That is our list of the top 5 Ed and Lorraine Warren recordings that you need to pray before listening to part 2. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought about all the stuff in this video. There certainly was quite a few unsettling clips in there for sure. Also, please hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.